It happened on a Saturday evening, the kind that should have been ordinary. Laughter, music, maybe a simple dinner. But in our house, peace never lasted more than a few minutes. I was sitting at the kitchen table helping my son, Evan, with a school project. A cardboard volcano we'd built together. His tiny hands were sticky with glue. Excitement bubbling almost as much as the volcano was supposed to. "Mom, when can we make it erupt?" he asked. I brushed a strand of hair from his forehead and smiled. "Once the glue dries, buddy. Science requires patience." His giggle barely faded before my dad's voice cut through the house like a knife. "Who told you to use the kitchen table?" He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, face twisted into that familiar sneer, the one that could turn warmth into dread. Before I could answer, Mom appeared behind him, coffee mug in hand, watching like this was entertainment. "You know she doesn't listen," she said, sharp grin in place. "Thinks she runs the house because she has a kid." I swallowed hard, keeping my voice steady for Evan. "Dad, it's just glue. I'll clean it right after." He slammed his hand down on the table, sending the project wobbling. "You think I care about glue? You think I'll let you turn my home into a daycare for your mistakes?" Evan flinched, gripping my arm. "Mom," he whispered. I murmured, forcing a calm smile. "It's okay, sweetheart." Then Dad's friends came in from the porch, laughing loudly, beer cans in hand, having been watching football. "Hey Jim, what's going on?" one chuckled. Dad ignored him, eyes wild as he turned back to me. "You want to show your son how to disrespect authority?" I took a step back. "I didn't disrespect you." And then it happened. His hand shot out, gripping my jaw, fingers digging into my cheeks before I could even react. And then the crack. His palm struck my face so hard I stumbled into the counter. The sound echoed, a harsh, sharp sound that made laughter stop. For a moment no one moved. My ears rang, my skin burned, Evan screamed. Then Mom broke the silence, her voice cutting cold through the tension. "She needs discipline," she announced, almost proud. "She always has. Maybe now she'll learn to obey." Dad's friends froze. One muttered, "Jesus, man." But no one intervened. I tasted blood, metallic and bitter, but I didn't cry. Not this time. I looked up, cheeks swollen and red, and met Mom's gaze. She smiled, small and satisfied, like she'd been waiting her whole life for this. "Go clean yourself up," she said, as if nothing had happened. "You look pathetic." Evan sobbed behind me, clutching the torn volcano, tiny body shaking. I knelt beside him, pulling him close. "It's okay," I whispered. "We're okay." But we weren't. Not even close. That night, I sat on my bed with an ice pack pressed to my face while Evan slept beside me. Every breath hurt, but the silence hurt more. I could still hear Dad's laughter from the porch, the same voice that used to tell me bedtime stories, now hollow and cruel. Yet beneath the pain, something inside me shifted. They thought they could humiliate me in front of everyone, and I just keep bowing, keep apologizing, keep surviving. But they had no idea. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to make them regret teaching me silence, because sometimes the quiet ones don't stay quiet forever. The air that night felt heavier than oxygen. I lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, listening to the hum of the old fan and the faint laughter from downstairs. They were still drinking, still celebrating whatever twisted version of discipline they believed in. Evan slept beside me, tiny fingers curled around the hem of my shirt, afraid I might vanish in the night. My cheek throbbed where Dad's hand had landed. The ice had long melted, but I didn't dare go back downstairs. I knew the words they'd say. "Need another lesson? Can't take a little correction." No, I'd learned my lesson. Just not the one they thought. The next morning, the house smelled of beer and cigarette smoke. Empty cans littered the counter. Mom hummed as she fried eggs, hair perfectly brushed as if nothing had happened. Dad scrolled through his phone at the table. When he looked up, he smirked. "Look who's awake. Going to thank me for last night." I didn't answer. I filled a glass with water, hand shaking but force steady. Evan came running in, Spider-Man pajamas on, holding the volcano, one side crushed from the chaos. "Mommy, can we fix it?" he asked softly. I forced a weak smile. "We will, baby." Dad laughed. "Still playing with school projects? You really don't learn." Mom slid a plate toward me, one egg, no toast. "Eat. You'll need strength for the cleaning you have to do today." What cleaning? I asked. Your sister's coming over. Her room's dusty. Don't embarrass us again. I stared at her. You want me to clean her room after I disrespected this family? Yes. Think of it as redemption, she said, tone slicing the air. Evan tugged my sleeve. Mommy, can we go outside instead? Dad snapped. No one goes anywhere until that room shines. And that's when it hit me. It didn't matter what I did. I could obey, fight, beg. They'd always find a way to break me. But breaking meant touching him. And that I couldn't allow. I went upstairs to my sister Chloe's room. It was spotless. Not a speck of dust, not a single thing out of place. They just wanted to watch me on my knees again. Still, I started cleaning. Each swipe of the rag was mechanical. My hands moved, but my mind replayed that moment at the kitchen table. Dad's hand coming down, Mom's words ringing. She needs discipline. I realized they'd always spoken that way about me. She needs control. She needs humility. She needs punishment. Never love. By the time I finished, my hands were raw from bleach. I walked past the family photos lining the hall. Each one told the same story. My sister in the center, me cropped her off to the side, hidden behind someone taller. Even as a child, they made sure I never took up space. I returned to Evan, sitting quietly on the floor, drawing. What are you making, honey? I asked. He looked up, eyes wide. He was far too serious for his age. A house, he said quietly. One that's happy. My chest tightened. What does that mean, baby? He frowned. A house that doesn't yell. Where nobody gets hit. Those words broke me in ways their slaps never could. That night I packed his clothes first, then mine, just the essentials. Some cash, his favorite toy car, the drawing of the happy house. I waited until the house grew quiet, until Dad's snore swallowed the TV hum. We slipped out barefoot, floorboards creaking beneath us, as if warning me not to leave. Outside, the cold night air struck my bruised face like freedom. Evan clung to me. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I couldn't fall apart, not yet. We walked down the street to the end of the block where my old friend Tessa lived. She opened the door in her robe, eyes widening when she saw us. Jesus, what happened to you? I just need a place for the night, I said. Please. I'll explain later. She didn't question me further. She simply let us in. We stayed there a week, 7 days of quiet, 7 days of healing. Evan finally slept without tears. And in that silence, something sharp and new grew inside me. A calm that could cut glass. Because they thought I'd vanished forever. They thought I was weak. I was only waiting. On the 7th night, I went back. Not through the front door, not to argue, but to end something for good. They'd made their rules. Now I would make mine. When I saw the house again, dimly lit with blinds drawn, I didn't see my childhood. I saw the battlefield they'd built. Every cruel word, every slap. Every time they told me I was worthless. I was no longer their daughter. I was their consequence. What came next would make them remember the face they tried to erase. By the time I returned, the sky was dark enough to hide me. It had been nearly 2 weeks since I walked out, and I knew they hadn't looked for me. Not a call, not a message, not even a hint of concern. Their silence said everything. I wasn't a missing daughter. I was a burden they'd finally gotten rid of. But I wasn't back for apologies. I was back to end a cycle. The porch light flickered, buzzing like it always had, never fixed. Dad's truck was in the usual spot. Through half-drawn curtains, I saw Mom folding laundry on the couch while the TV blared. Dad sat in his recliner, beer in hand, yelling at the screen. Everything looked the same except me. I lingered outside, watching, heart heavy yet steady. Pain transforms you. It doesn't harden you, it stills you. I felt power for the first time, not strength, just clarity. I owed them nothing. I knocked once. Mom turned, squinting, and for a split second her face went pale. She hadn't expected me. Where's my grandson? She demanded, skipping hello. He's safe, I said simply. Dad smirked. So the runaway comes crawling back, he muttered. Told you she couldn't survive without us. I stared at him calmly. I hadn't come back to stay. His laugh echoed. Then what? You here to cry? To tell me I'm a bad father? Mom crossed her arms. You should thank him. We raised you. Fed you. You think the world owes you something. I looked at her closely, seeing how much cruelty had shaped her identity. Smooth face, controlled words, polished like poison. She saw herself as the victim. I drew a deep breath. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to make sure you understand something before I walk out for good. Dad scoffed. You're not leaving until you learn your place. I smiled, calm and sharp. That's what I used to believe too. I set a folder on the table. Inside, photos. Every bruise, every mark, every hospital visit I'd had to lie about. One picture of Evan, cheeks swollen from the night they hit him while he slept. Mom's face drained of color. Where did you? I kept everything, I said. Every date, every injury, every word. I even recorded your voice that night, Mom. He cried too much last week. Remember? We fixed it. Her lips quivered. Dad's face flushed red. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I already did. I cut him off. The authorities have copies. So does child welfare. So does the news outlet covering family abuse. Mom staggered back as if struck. Dad clenched his fists but didn't move. He knew I wasn't bluffing. I'm not here to ruin your lives, I said quietly, voice carrying through the room. You already did that yourselves. I'm just making sure you finally face it. They didn't speak. For the first time, the house was completely silent. I reached for the door handle when Dad's voice cracked. What do you want from us? I looked back. His face wasn't angry, just hollow, small. I don't want anything, I said. That's the point. Mom whispered something broken, half sob, half denial. You can't do this to your parents. You stopped being my parents the moment you hurt him, I said. I walked out, leaving the door open. Wind rushed through the house that once held every ounce of my fear. It sounded almost cleansing. On the street, Evan waited in the car with Tessa. He smiled, sleepy and safe. Mommy, can we go home now? I looked back once at the faintly glowing house. Yeah, baby, I said softly. We are home now. The drive was quiet. For the first time in years, silence didn't feel heavy, it felt earned. I hadn't destroyed them with fire or chaos. I destroyed them with truth. Sometimes the loudest revenge is peace. And the cruelest punishment for monsters is knowing the person they tried to break walked away stronger than ever.